You see what it is. Man, what do I do as an acquisition manager? I know people they watch my videos and they're like, bro, I don't know what you do. Shit look interesting. What is your job, man? Like, I get it. So I create transactions. That's what I do. That's how I get paid. I create transactions. I reach out to brokers, realtors, homeowners, business owners. I am not a realtor. My goal is to be a real estate appraiser so I can get better at analyzing these properties. I currently am in the course as of right now. I definitely need to put some more time into it, but I'm more focused on getting the skin in the game. So it's on pause right now. Evaluate deals. You'll hear me say I have to run the numbers or I have to do analysis. I underwrite properties. That's what I mean when I say deals. I underwrite properties. I build networks. I network. That's part of my job. We network. I am more of the relationship person. I like to build relationships more than just a transactional standpoint. It's easier to build off of that versus a transaction standpoint. The difficulty is in this business, a lot of people they trying to test. They want to see how seasoned you are. They playing mental games, and for me, I ain't got time to play that. Look, bro, I'm just as valuable as you are. You see what I'm saying? My attitude to this is a lot different because I ain't been around the track a little bit. So, what is an acquisition manager? Again, you see it right there. At the core job, my job is simply I create transactions. The key responsibilities: identify properties, identify value in a sense. What is the risk? What is the risk of going into this? What is the market telling us? Is people buying in this market? Is this market hurting? What's the situation with this market? Would it be considered rural? I negotiate a good term for the buyer. And then we execute the deal. So, for those who don't understand, my when I first got in the real estate space, I was a wholesaler. A wholesaler is a different role. It's a different business model. It's a different character, as the people in the real estate space say. The seasoned people, what is your character? Who are you? Are you a flipper? Are you a handyman? What are you? For me at the time, I was a wholesaler. So we did something a little bit differently than an acquisition manager. To me, I believe an acquisition manager is like the senior of everything because you're working for those companies. We're gonna get into it. So my core role: create transactions. Let's create them. Let's find the right people. Let's evaluate these deals. Let's negotiate. Let's close them. That's my role in a nutshell. But partnering with disposition companies, as I was mentioning earlier, I partner and network with those companies that have that experience, that has that transaction coordinator, that has the title companies in place already, that has the legal team, they have everything. So as an independent person, it's a lot easier for me just to latch on to what they doing because they have something is called a track record. A lot of seasoned people in the real estate space, they want to see, do you have a track record? So for me, I get a little irritated when people dismiss my skills because I ain't survived since 2018. So I move the way I move, and you can tell how I'm moving, how I'm communicating, and how I'm showing all this information. I'm too seasoned for you to play with me like that. No disrespect. So it's like, yeah, nah, we ain't gonna do that. You looking for a dummy, you're gonna find one over there. He ain't over here. I'm surrounded. I'm surrounded around people that's they serious. They want to spend the money, but a lot of people, they want to play mind games with you. In this business, that's normal. They would, no disrespect, realtors and brokers, they'll let you waste all the time you want. For me, again, I love partnering with the right people. Oh my God. That's how I survived. Partnering with the right people. Those who work with you, they want to work with you. Those who don't, they don't. No hard feelings. It is what it is. But my job is to, create deal flow, network, analyze the market. Partner with different disposition companies. What they do essentially, they dispo these leads. They sell. What they do is they bridge the gap between the operator or landlord or person that actually wants to purchase that property. I don't want to say it like this, but it's the only way to make people make sense of it. They're, in a sense, they could be the middleman, and sometimes they are the actual person that's buying these assets. You'll hear me say this all the time. They like to cherry pick deals. So what I mean by cherry pick deals is they're looking for the very best deals for them to keep themselves. So a lot of the disposition companies that I do business with, they keep these properties instead of middlemaning it to somebody else. But what they do is, if it's a bad deal, they middleman it to somebody else that want to get some skin in the game. That's the name of the game right there. They have find somebody that's willing to step into these, that ain't tripping about the entry, where it's they a rookie. They want to get into something. They less to season more than others. We have a buyer's network. I am technically tied to over 10,000 real estate, I want to say, owners and landlords and handyman and people that buy a lot of real estate. And then, not to mention, Minnesota Real Estate Investors Association. Shout out to them. That's another big organization. Learned a lot from them. Shout out to Steven, his community, the Equity Carry. Shout out to Flipman, the Flippinars. A lot of these different disposition companies, they all do and specifically focus on one thing or another. Or sometimes they're communities where you can where you can directly work with an individual that's in that community, and they're a pillar of the market, and you can work with them. Shout out to Mike Jack. And then we look at the market. We look at the market. For those who don't understand, I have a few videos on the market itself. But an easy way, and this was something I didn't understand when I was a young buck. When I was a rookie, I didn't understand this, because you're trying to get the basis of it. You're trying to get the gist of it. But the easy way to skip all that is find a local person that's seasoned in that market, and he'll give you the game for free. For free 99 if you're willing to put some sweat equity in. For me, that's what I was willing to do. So it became easy for me to pick up on things, because I understood how they was looking at stuff. I understood what they were saying. I was picking up on the terminology fast. Oops, I skipped it. Okay, so supply versus demand, ego versus financial sense. So this is where I always make this reference joke, especially when I'm talking to brokers. I say, this is where the knives gonna pump. This is where the knives gonna come out. And some of them, they get it immediately, and some of them they like, I know what you're trying to do. You trying to get up on me? No, nigga, this ain't that play. You need to watch some of my videos. You will see. I'm very honest. I'm upfront. Look, I ain't here to waste your time, but we looking for a deal. We looking to get in on it, and we willing to pay you decently, but it has to make sense financially. So supply and demand. In that market, is there a lot of people selling in that market, or is it a buyer's market? Is it heavy buying power in that market, or is it heavy selling power in that market? Seller's expectations. That's a huge one right there. Again, perfect example. Say a property appraised for 1.9, but the cash flow of the property is producing at around 700 or 500. So basically, you losing money on your 1.9. Even though you're getting into this deal cheaply, you still losing money. So we're looking at it from a financial standpoint. And then I gotta be fair. I'm gonna keep it a buck. So buyers' expectations. Buyers, we want the best returns. We want the best returns. But essentially, like I said, I'm not gonna hit you in the gut. I'm not that person I'm not gonna do you grimy. Nah. Even though Steven Hill's like, man, you be pleasing them too much. Man, I got you. The reason why I do that is because, essentially, shout out to Miss Connie. Again, those are the things that close it up. Shout out to Mike. Those are the deals that I actually moved through because I was looking at it from a emotional standpoint. Like, hey, bro, I'm trying to work with you, but you're not working with me. The moment you actually get them to understand the play, it's like, oh, okay, I see. Now I need to go back to my seller and I need to tell them the truth. I like to say the truth. Shit, because again, it's multiple ways you can look at this. Ego versus logic. This is a big one. Ego takes over. Hey, my property is worth X, Y, and Z. I got it appraised for 1.9. But logically, financially, why would I put half? Let's keep it a buck. Why would I spend 1.9 for a property that's only cash flowing half of 1 point? It's not even half 1.9. It's like what's that? 40, 50, 40 some percent? Like it's not it's the return is not there. So why would I do that? So that's how most investors are looking at this. Whatever that return is, that's how most investors looking at this. Why would I put this amount of money into it if I'm not gonna make that back? Again, you looking for a dummy. That's the only way I can really explain it from a financial standpoint. But okay, thinking financially, not emotionally. This is where I always have problems with brokers and realtors because they sell based off of emotion. That's how they sell. They want you to come and look at the property. A lot of us buyers, we sell based off of financial sense. It has to make financial sense. I like to do that because it stick in your mind. So again, we looking at this from a numbers perspective. What is the ROI? What is the risk? What is our profit margin of how much we be able to make back? The time to close. How long is it gonna take to close this? I always say this, buyers, the more time the better, because they give us time to actually plan. Again, I always like to tell these stories when Anthony talked about purchasing a property, he didn't directly talk to the county about the apartment building he was purchasing. When he purchased it, they got hit with a fee that the previous owner operator didn't tell Anthony about, and basically they had to pull up. I forgot exactly what it was, but they had to pull up the concrete or something like that, where they had to spend some more money, and it was like, damn, we didn't put this in our budget because we didn't know about it. We didn't know about it because of the time frame. We didn't have enough time to vet the deal properly. So this is where again, the more time the better. Data driven. We're going based off of underwriting. Our walkaway rule. We have walkaway numbers. This is why when people be like, "Why your?" Again, I always say this: "Why your process took so long?" Because it's these things that you have to get comfortable walking away. Fuck it. I'm gonna keep it a buck. We not on the same course. The key metrics: ARV, IRR, cash on cash return. We looking at that. What will the house be appraised for? Excuse me. What will the house be? I can't even talk. Excuse me. At the best value of the property. At the after repair value. What will the house be worth when it's fully fixed up? I'm talking about doorknobs, the electricals, things has been changed, everything to the light bulb. What will it fully be? What would that price sell at? Another thing we look at is IRR, internal rate of return. What is that return we're getting back on the cash flow, on a cash perspective? Cash on cash return. This is something I always mention a lot. What is our cash consistently on a monthly basis? Sometimes it's monthly, sometimes it's annual. It depends on how it's underwritten. So it could be very different. So another thing, underwriting properties, how we analyze properties. So this is more of a residential standpoint. So from a residential standpoint, comping, we comp the property. What is the ARV? What is our factored in cost of what we have to put in? Multifamily metrics is NOI, net operating income. What is the cap rate? Then, as far as the DSCR loan, where are we? Does it fit that buy box that they want to come in? And then the rehab scope. How much is it going to cost for us to, put this in? From a buy box criteria, price, a price range. Does it fit in our price range? The property type. Again, this is more of a residential standpoint, but property type, single family, multifamily, condos. What is that time frame? What type of homework? I shouldn't say homework, but what type of rehab that may be here? What is the cash flow? What is that? Is it in a prime location? Is it in a standard location, or is it in a C location? A, B, C, D, all that. It matters. Adapting to different strategies, fix and flips, the BRRRR, multifamily, and wholesale. See, as an acquisition manager, this is one of the things that you are constantly basically purchasing properties for. So the one thing we don't have on here is an operator standpoint, but an operator standpoint would be right here. Wholesaler, this is what I focus in as well. Are you doing a buy and hold? Are you fixing and flipping it? What are you doing? What is the niche? From a acquisition standpoint, it depends on the principal partner that walk up to the trend. I can't even talk. It depends on the person that's willing to take on the deal. Like I say, each investor, each buyer is going to have their own criteria. They're looking at it from a different perspective. The lifestyle, the benefits as an acquisition manager. Oh my God! Like, again, shout out to Maria. That was the first. That was the first private group that I would say I was actively, heavily involved in. Spent, honestly, years, about a year and a half, consistently showing up, going there, learning, picking up the game, networking. Traveling, traveling, that's a normal thing in this world. In this business, this traveling is a normal thing. I remember my son, and my girlfriend. We went to North Dakota to go look at a property, and it was just fun because my son, he was just having the time of his life. It was something new to him. It was different, but yeah, we travel a lot. We travel. It's what you don't have to travel, but it's an option. And for me, I like taking that option. Networking, meeting different people. You run into a lot of different people, and it's very possible to run into, as I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to speak to. I want to speak to the juggernauts. The I'm over y'all head, so don't worry about it. But I need to speak to them. I gotta play. I got a situation I need some assistance with. But RAI, local real estate groups. I just said Monria, and then different communities. Different communities networking with different people. It's an easy way to get skin in the game. It's an easy way to learn. It's an easy way to talk to people, improve on what you ain't got. And then access to power, access to powerful networks. This is what I was saying earlier, about the juggernauts. I need to speak to the people that's, again, I'm making certain moves that I need that backing. I need that assistance. You know what I mean? Like, I need that. Yeah. What I'm trying to do, shake up the market a little bit. So leveraging OPM, other people's money. Again, this is part of what I'm saying about the play, It's so many ways you really could do what you want in reality in this life. It's just, as people, we think so little. Sometimes we get stuck in our head. And for me, I want to have fun. So these are tools that we use. We may use hard money. We may use gap funding or an equity play. For me, this a lot of times that this is an equity play for me. I specifically will ask for equity in a lot of these transactions. Most people don't know what equity is. A way for you to make way more money. And then on top of that, if you need cash right then and there, you can turn around and sell your equity stake. And a lot of people would be happy to take that because, for one, most people are not, they don't fully understand the plays of equity. You can lend on that. You can lend from that. It's so many different plays that you can tap into. Like, so many people don't understand it. So, when somebody has equity, again, I've seen it be done. Shout out to Menria. the benefits, speed, the leverage, less money that you have to spend out of your pocket, more money. So essentially, what I do, I'm evaluating these real estate based off of which tools, which financial vehicles my partner is going to want to do. And as you can see, seller financing is right there. We mainly focus on seller financing. Sub two, they do a lot of sub two. I really don't touch it. Novations, Flip. He just started working with us on novations, and then JVs. That's what I'm heavy into as well. Joint ventureships. You partner with somebody that has the experience. Again, I'm coming in as a deal finder, so all I have to do is find the deal that he's looking for, and it's a lot easier for me to get in the position that I want. And again, if you want an acquisition fee from it, you want to get paid up front, cool, take that. If you want equity, cool, take that. For me, I take both, but realistically, I'm looking for equity at the moment. I'm not tripping about them. But our final thoughts. Well, my final thoughts is finding deals. That's what I do on a daily basis as an acquisition manager. We find deals. It has to make sense financially. I always say financially. It has to make sense. It has to make sense financially on a numbers perspective. Why would I put money into this if I'm not gonna get the return that I want? As a buyer, as an investor, as a home buyer in a sense, again, people don't understand what they don't know. So they don't know. Like again, I seen a few of my loved ones. They went and got it. They went and got a one of the loans from the bank. And for me personally, I definitely could have gave them game, but at the same time, it's difficult to get somebody game when they look at you and they be like, they still look at you as the same person. And for me, it's like, nah, nigga, I got some education. It, you could have did seller financing and got that shit way cheaper, and you could have negotiated some good goddamn terms where your payments was affordable, not what the bank gave you. You see what I'm saying? It's a different understanding there. So one of the things I just do, I let people make their moves, and those who come to me and ask questions, I'm willing to give you the game. I don't mind giving you the game. I want people to know the game. That's why I'm doing this. But again, I close deals on a daily basis. That's what I do. That's what I do. Y'all gonna start to see more videos of behind the scenes, working with different people. I'm branching out. I'm learning way more than what I knew a year ago. I'm learning way more than what I knew 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I got the skin in the game, man. When you got the skin in the game, it's a different level. It's a different attachment there. It's a different I want it. It turned from I want it to I have it to now, how can I make this work for me? Now from that is more or less like, let me build my stake as far as where I want to be on a public level. So that's what this is, guys. That's what me being an acquisition manager is. Um, like I said, what is an acquisition manager? I went over my job, my task. This is a video that goes in depth of what I do from a simple perspective. I did do a lot of communicating in here. My bad. I like to talk a little bit. It gives people the game. Yes, I talk a certain way. It's only for those individuals that want to listen to how I talk. If you don't, God bless you. No hard feelings. I get it. You see how I just did that? I'm improving. But all right, y'all, we out.